Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of NF Twins. Today, we are joined by Ganesh Krishnan. He's the founder of AIhello, which he scaled to over 36 people, as well as HalZero, in which he is now taking on a different bet on the future of AI. While everybody's chasing bigger LLMs, Ganesh believes the real path to superintelligence might be something entirely different. I personally really enjoyed this episode. I'm sure you will learn a lot as well. So let's just jump right in.
It is Ganesh. I moved from Australia to Canada because I run my own AI startup, and I think it's better to be in North America. And we've been quite successful. We moved on. We have around 36 employees now, bootstrapped, and because of this coming craze of AI, we decided to branch off into hallucination-free models, AI models, and reading about all of it. How the CEOs of Anthropic and OpenAI, they're all talking about ASI is around the corner, but we've been, talking about it for the last 40 years, and they all have the vested interest in their own startup. So my point is, I think more in terms of Jan LeCun, that LLMs is not where the super intelligence lies. It's in a different kind of model, and we are taking a stab at it, and we hope we make it into getting some kind of a super intelligence that is as intelligent as humans, if not more.
So, Ganesh, what makes this model less likely to hallucinate?
It is interesting to talk about it. Most of these LLM companies, they move towards a weight model where all the intelligence is in a weight. It's like numbers 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 2, 3. And they use some kind of a pattern matching to look back and talk about it. And because of the way that the data is all just that weight model, they always will hallucinate. So in my opinion, LLMs are another way that we can create super intelligence. And the way that we can know is we ask the simple question: will these LLMs ever criticize the training data? Can it ever say that the training data that I've been trained on is wrong? Right.
Ah,
If we take a
That's
model from scratch and we train it that the sun is always green, we feed it text that the sun is always green, it'll never question that.
yeah. I mean, it's really hard if you think about it. If you've been told something is true the entire life, then to question
Yeah.
that, I mean, even with humans, we know this, right? If you have a core belief that you truly hold dear, it is so
Yeah.
hard to question that. Yeah. My question is then,
It's
how can you make sure that this is not the case?
with LLMs or with humans.
Well, no, with humans, you can teach them, right? Is it, I guess,
Yeah.
hard. Wouldn't it make LLM very similar to humans in that case that if you teach them long enough, they will start believing a certain aspect?
Yes, but that's a critical point of humans. We are all bought, with our own nationality, with our own religion, with our own beliefs. But at some point of a time, something clicks. It's just one event that clicks, and then we change it. But with LLM, if you have been trained for a million times, something is true, and then a million and one time we say that is not true because it has been trained so many times on the previous data. It's just the number of repetitions. It takes it. While there is a certain similarity between humans and LLM, at some point we can reject our data and we measure it. We observe it on real life data, and then we can make a change and all of it. And kids grow out of it, right? By the time they're 9 or 10, they start questioning the parents. You're not right. Like what I say is right.
So basically, it's that we humans get a frame breaker, so to speak, or something that resets our current belief that enables us then to learn something that is new, which as
Yeah,
LLMs have a model that was trained a million times, and then the
yeah,
reinforced learning is not strong enough because they don't get a reset.
yeah, for sure. And it's also one interesting thing is the quality of data. So if your teacher tells you something, the Earth is round, or if a guy on the street, while waiting for the subway says the earth is flat, who would you rather trust?
Depends what
So
the guy on the street is.
yeah, you will trust less the guy on the street than on the teacher. So we have a quality of data.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which LLMs don't have. They trust all the data blindly, right? You feed them 1,000 documents, they have equal weightage to all the documents.
So, and basically, you believing more in something called a world model, or
Yeah.
Okay, for people who are unfamiliar with the concept, could you explain what actually a world model means and how it's derived?
So the world model is the observation. We observe things and then we make an inference and then we say, okay, what I learned before was wrong because what I'm seeing is different. So that means, we need to change our beliefs. So we keep on updating our beliefs depending on the model. And it's funny, you talk about it because 2 days ago we talked about Jan LeCun and he
Yeah,
thinks LLM is different. And yesterday he published out a tweet that he got funded $1 billion. Did you see that tweet by him?
I did. I didn't see the tweet.
Yeah.
I saw it in the
Yeah.
rundown in the newsletter that I follow.
Yeah. Yeah. He got funded $1 billion for this world model thing. And he's probably, he's taking a stab at it as well. And he's working from a real life model. And we are working in a different kind of a model. We take the data and then we say what kind of quality is better, what kind of quality is not better. And we teach the LLM to critique his own training data as well. So we work slightly differently from Jan LeCun. But I think Jan LeCun has a higher chance of success, probably because he's more intelligent, he's more funded, he's more connected.
I mean,
We
a
work
billion
towards the
dollars is quite a lot of money. Also makes it
yeah.
hard for the next round. A quick question. So you weight so basically you put still weights towards the quality of the data as well. You say, hey, if this is
Yes.
from the physics review, then the
Yeah.
data should trust it versus a blog post.
That is correct. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So the domain, the page, the author, like it depends on uh, Google used to use something like PageRank
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
say how authoritative a page is. So a bit based on that, we're trying to, put a qualitative data.
That's super interesting. You know what I also thought was super interesting that Jan LeCun actually went to Europe for his business. Paris, right? Yeah.
That is interesting because you wouldn't think Europe would have a $1 billion of funding.
No, 100% no, that's what I was thinking, like, because I don't know, everyone says always, "Look, the US is, great with AI and in general technological
Yeah,
advances, and Europe is good in regulation, a lot of regulation." And
yeah,
which is super interesting that he chose then to move to France for his LLM. Also, well, maybe given the recent news that in the US, what they're doing with AI companies in terms of defensive, like they want to have defense contracts and whatever the
yeah,
regulations might come, that you need to have, I don't know, a backdoor and all the, uh, I don't know, user funneling the information. So it's super interesting how that was going to play out. That Europe actually might have a fundamental model coming out of Europe, which would be insane. Make
yeah.
Europe great again.
I'm on
Uh,
Team Europe. No, I'm on Team.
my question is, if you do you think scaling LLMs will eventually hit a ceiling? So, for example, we've seen like some models that not like when they bring out a new model is not getting so much better. Is it because we getting closer to a ceiling, or is it just a
Yeah.
question of we didn't put enough data in there or high quality data?
I think like my opinion is it's a ceiling, and they're trying to bypass the ceiling using chain of thoughts,
Hmm.
making it smarter. But imagine a human that was born blind, and the only way the human would learn is by repeating the data. So how much intelligent would be? I think someone need to do an experiment to find out. Uh, but humans do objectively, question the data as well. You told me it is true. Is it true? Right? Everything. But LLM blindly accepts the training data. But in my opinion, to answer your question, I definitely think there is a ceiling,
Hmm.
and you can bypass it with chain of thoughts. It doesn't solve the problem. We need to completely change the direction in which we're going if we want to have ASI.
Do you think also that has there's a connection then to how much data we can absorb, or let's say the LLM can absorb? Because,
Mhm.
like you mentioned in our call last time, Jan LeCun, I did some research on him, and he said, "Look, LLMs are currently trained on data that's written in text. If you would read it, it would take you 100,000 years, but it's the same amount of data in terms of bytes as a kid
Yeah.
from the age of 0 to 4 takes in visually." So that
Yeah.
visual is just a much more efficient way to absorb data.
Could be as long as the model can critique the visual thing, right? As long as it observes its different object, how they're interacting. Observation and changing the behavior is fundamental of the universe.
My question, so if you believe that world models are the future and LLMs are currently going like it's like a one-way street or just like at least hitting their ceiling soon,
Well,
are
for
we
AI, for AIG, like superintelligence.
okay. But would you believe then that basically that right now with the world model that we're right now at starting at a lower point than currently LLMs, like the current outstanding models are, but then they have a higher curve of exponential curve like
Yeah,
of the ceiling. So basically, I don't know, for example, back in the day with Henry Ford with horses, right? So basically, back in the day,
yeah,
horses were so much more reliable than the first car. But then, of course, the ceiling, a horse can only, I don't know, run 30 miles an hour maximum. Whereas then the cars now, what, 250 miles or faster?
yeah.
So it's like a completely different ceiling, but it takes time to mature. So it could be the same with world models.
It's a reverse question to ask is, do humans have a ceiling on intelligence? When you're 2 year old, your intelligence is pretty low, and then you keep growing intelligent and intelligent. But at what point do we have a ceiling on our intelligence using visual model? Is it 18? Is it 21? Do we stop growing in intelligence after 21? It's a very hard answer to know. What is the
Yeah.
limit to intelligence to anything?
You know, that actually makes also, I wonder myself sometimes this,
Yeah,
have humans had the same IQ over the last 1,000 years or not? Is it just that we have like written down all the learning so we absorb it earlier, the data, and that's why our IQ is the way it is, or we're using the IQ better?
yeah, yeah. It's a good question. Like we don't know the answer. Are we getting smarter or are we getting more data?
Yeah, exactly. A
Yeah.
better dater. Also, better dater
Yes.
because like before, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
back in
Like,
the day, just remember when we were in school, right? You always had to believe what the teacher said, but he was also just hopefully reading it at one point in time. Sometimes he's just saying
yeah,
things to like, and you would know he was like, that didn't make sense. Like, we got us so often in trouble that like you're saying, but are you sure it's true? Nowadays, you can just ask ChatGPT and directly know. It reminds me of
yeah,
the, I don't know, in your education, but during our education in Germany in physics class, we learned the how electrons work and the atoms and the nucleus and all that stuff differently than they actually work in real life. It's super,
yeah,
super interesting that because it was too complex or something. I was like, but why are you teaching the kids then the wrong one first? If you know why you're not teaching the right one when you're supposed to do it. I was like,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
weird.
yeah. It
Relearning is
depends
so
on the
much harder
teacher
than
too.
learning new. Yeah, 100%. I mean, there
Well,
were
but
some.
this was everyone had to learn it this way, right? It was in the books.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, at that time, like it's the method of teaching was so wrong. But if you look at the YouTube videos now,
Oh,
so interesting,
it's
so
so much
interactive.
better. Yeah, I
Also,
mean, they
but
also
are the kids learning?
that's the thing, but they have the option. At least they have the opportunity. Like this, I
Yeah,
think, is a huge difference because when we're still in high school, like most of the videos were just random stuff like on teaching, and because there's more and more competition, it gets more and more professional, and now you can see
yeah,
like really probably better education on YouTube, which is free than most courses that are being sold to people like, oh, join my whatever scaling course,
yeah,
business course, or whatever, and these like just to make money, whereas other offer it for free.
I mean, I can't talk about
yeah,
kids, but myself, I know I learned a shit ton of YouTube the last 3 years, just learning how to code, etc., and all that. You just so many tutorials are for free, and it's incredible. You can just directly copy or learn like step by step, follow them along. Which again, like my IQ hasn't increased, but I have the ability to absorb this information because someone already did it, which is super
yeah,
super interesting. And I think
yeah.
I just do you follow the podcast from First Principles?
Now, what is it?
So it's basically these two physics nerds. They talk about new developments in science and AI, whatever is in basically physics based. And they were just talking about the one that episode I was listening to about string theory. And string theory
Yeah,
has been apparently the joke, the end of the like the gets joked around, like messed around a lot because there's no real application to it. But they just recently found out that you can use string theory to predict how tissue um, tissue grows properly and what's the most efficient way to have the surface area always the smallest. So this could be used for skin grafts, for predicting how fungus actually grow,
Mm.
brain neurons, etc. So that this model was basically described everything else somewhere else can now be used for something that wasn't even related to it or didn't think about before.
Yeah.
And I think these kind of steps are super interesting. And I'm wondering, will AI with LLMs be able to do this? Or do we need a world model? Then they're like, look, you know what? I'm going to try this on this now. And it works.
LLMs will never be able to do this. I mean, it's because it's not in the training data. It won't predict the future, right?
Um,
That's my
so
opinion. Although I've been
it's
very
interesting.
impressed with how LLMs can do some of the prediction in our data,
Yeah.
using our data, but there is a kind of a ceiling to it. It can look at the past, apply some pattern
Exactly.
into it.
That's my question because there's the expression, right? Yeah, if you know the past, you can
Yeah,
predict the future because there are a lot of patterns matching. So basically, you
yeah,
see like we always in cycles. So that's like for me interesting to see. Of course, for maybe discovery of new, I guess, new medicines, etc. It might be harder. Oh, same
yeah,
with business ideas, right? The problem is when you use it or generate me new business ideas, it just when you try it ourselves, it just like sometimes just generates random ideas, but it's
yeah,
great at reproducing. For example, maybe, hey, help me draft a contract, etc. Help me review this contract, point out all the red flags, etc. This is like fantastic because it has so much data on it, which makes it
yeah,
fantastic for reproduction, but not great at, I guess, the creation of or invention of new things.
yeah, yeah. I guess we'll have to test it out. The question to ask is, what has an LLM discovered or invented in the last 3 years that we have ChatGPT? What has it discovered or invented? That is a question. Um, do we know the answer to that?
How about we ask right now, Lucas? Yeah, I'm actually right now checking it out. I mean, I'm curious to see what actually would say.
Huh?
um, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
that's what I
thing about
thought.
OpenClaw as well. OpenClaw went really, really viral. Every, grandmother was on OpenClaw. And my question is, who has created $1 billion industry out of OpenClaw? Who has launched a successful SaaS using? Everyone is like all the SaaS companies are gone. SaaS is outdated. Junior devs are out of business. And I'm sick of this nonsense. It's like, who has
It's
launched a
not a hype.
successful startup using OpenClaw?
But that's the thing. The
Yeah.
only people who benefit from these are those who are just content creators because it's clicky, right? If I
Yeah.
say I replace these people, everybody clicks on it. Everybody gets
Yeah.
FOMO, tries it out, might get hacked because they don't install it correctly, not properly. Now they have a security flaw, etc. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen on Instagram. I mean, I've watched a few videos myself, and I was like, damn,
Yeah.
should we implement this? And they said, "There's like, oh no, security risk."
Well,
And it's like,
also another thing is just like I think it instills a lot of fear in people. For example, our roommate, he has also a business. He's like, look, man, in 3 4 years we all gonna be out of jobs because AI is gonna take over all this stuff like e-commerce. They're gonna do everything. I'm like, man, honestly, I think AI is not capable of doing that. First of all, and second of all, agents are not that good. Like if
not
you
yet. Okay,
not
not
yet,
yet.
yeah, but they're not good yet. It's like
Yeah, yeah, not yet.
OpenClaw
Yeah.
is cool and the concept is great, but the real implication is like, oh, what are you doing? It's not there yet. It's
Yeah.
just will
Can,
take some time.
can they drive a car? I think the 60 IQ is a minimum to drive a car,
Yeah.
and they can drive better than any of these latest AI models on Tesla or Waymo. So the question to ask is, if AI is going to take over the world, can it serve a coffee? Can it drive a car? Better than a human? And yeah, they're stuck on stupid things. Like there are two Waymo cars are coming down the street, and they're stuck with both with each other for minutes and minutes. They can't even
I
think
heard
of
that.
moving left and right.
I heard that people are taking advantage of the situation with Waymo. So when they see a Waymo, they drive more aggressive because they know this Waymo is gonna stop, it's gonna behave, so they're gonna just like pass it and just like cut corners or
Yeah.
something because they're like, yeah, I have to stop. So yeah,
And if
makes
they're
sense.
off the training data, this self-driving cars, if they're not in the driving, within the training data, they get stuck permanently. They can't move out of it. Whereas a human would think instinctively, oh, this is another wrong way. I have to make a U-turn. I have to go. We plan and we logically get out, even if it's not in our training data. That's why we can drive in new cities. We move to a new city, we instinctively pick up based on this, how to drive. But a self-driving car is like, we want to launch it in this city because we have trained it on this city. It cannot move to the next city.
I wonder how the conscious works with different layers and in terms of how we process data. What's the data that we rely on? For example, when you just said that, I
Yeah,
was thinking of if we went to Australia and you guys drive, well, they drive on the other side of the road. You're like,
yeah,
yo, I need to rethink this for a second. It's like you need some time, like an hour or something, or till you're accustomed to it. Like, okay,
yeah,
this is odd,
Also,
but
you walk on the other side, right? Because normally you're always on the right side, but then you walk on the left side, so everything is reversed. So it's like,
you get just used to it, which is super interesting.
no,
And
no, of
then
course, because you
eh,
go with the flow, right? You're just like, if they are on a pedestrian walk, everybody walks on the left side. So yes, you just follow the herd and just accept the rules that are put on, like that are
yeah,
just like displayed.
yeah, but
Like,
the
yeah,
question is like for me, that's the conscious put in a new container. Like, look, you have all this information. Let's put this is how everything works. And it's like, okay, this is how it works in Europe. And then it puts a smaller container. Ah, I'm currently in Australia. So I need to rethink this. And this is a temporary container where I'm in. And then when you go back, you're like, okay, can I release the container? And then you're like, okay. And then the container is
yeah,
gone again
yeah.
for
That's
me.
interesting. Like it's, you have to switch your context to the other side of the road, and we do it. But can a self-driving car do it?
I don't know. I know way too little about this, but it's for me interesting to see.
Yeah,
Like just because like in the end, I really believe that AI or the self-driving cars are out right now are driving
yeah,
safer than most
Well,
people.
assisted,
As
assisted.
he's assisted. Like if I look at it, it just man, people, humans, especially if in their car, they especially like in the US, they drive out every lane. You can like
It's
pass on
distracted
every
also.
lane.
Very
So and
distracted
then
drivers.
distracted, you're late to work, put up makeup, or you're looking on the phone, so you're very distracted, so you're not very focused. And that all
yeah,
together just combining. Man, I just saw another video of a Mercedes, basically a car was he was driving 250 on the autobahn, and a guy was on the middle lane with 120 and going to the left lane and was already far away. But just in 1 second, the car already passes 30 to 40 meters in that time. So you can't even react. So you basically, before you even see he's pulling over, you already moved 30 or 40 meters ahead. So like he could barely like pass or like
Dodge it.
yeah, dodge it, but at the same time, it's just like because the human eye is not trained for like the speeds and reaction time,
mm,
where or at least self-driving cars can do this. So I'm like, yes, that's a very valid point
Okay, but this
for it.
assist, it's just like a brake assist, right? It's just physics. It just does the math and like, okay,
Oh yeah,
not gonna happen.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Ganesh, let's
yeah,
let's switch
yeah.
gears again. I want to hear more about Hell Zero AI, what you currently have, what the vision is going to be, where you going with this, and give us a lowdown, please.
Sure. Okay. So just before we wrap up the self-driving thing, one interesting thing to talk about is two interesting things is humans have accident because they lose distraction, they lose focus. We are on the phone, so we stop thinking, and machines never, stop thinking. So that's an important distinction to have. It's not that machines are smarter; it's just that we become stupider, and that's why we have accident.
100%
And
believe it.
second thing is when we see Tesla's video, like some of the uh, what it thinks. So one time there was a truck with a stop sign carrying it on the back because it was the the fixing truck, and Tesla kept on thinking there's a stop sign ahead of it, and then it kept on stopping, because there was a stop sign at the back of the truck. You know, it didn't think, like even a 5-year-old could look at it and see, it's a stop sign on the back of a truck, so it doesn't need to stop. But the Tesla got confused. And the second thing was in a Christmas, along decoration on the trees there were some red lanterns, and Tesla kept on thinking it was a signal. Kept on thinking it was a signal.
Turn signal. Yeah. And then you're like, okay,
Yeah, yeah. So even a 5-year-old would know there's a lantern on a tree. Like why would a traffic sign be on a? So these are the common, like stupid mistakes that AI would do. But if it is really, really intelligent on 120 IQ, which all they hype it up, it's not behaving like one.
Do you think that this is because they're, I don't know, I'm sure if they're using LLMs yet, they have some machine learning, but
Yeah.
because Tesla is using visual, just camera wise, as
Yeah.
input versus other companies are using LiDAR, which
Yeah.
has a different kind of, I guess, information broadband that they can use. And
Yeah.
that they would obviously, if they combine these two, would be much more, well, efficient, I guess, or smarter.
It would, but that's just the input data. What it thinks is different. So even with the input data, if you have LiDAR, if you have visual, which is again debatable. I think even with visual, you should be able to do it. But the fact that it takes the data and it thinks that there is a turn signal on top of a tree all along the way is, even if you had LiDAR, it's going to see a stop sign. It's going to see something and it's going to think. So the question is, what does it think? And it's thinking something really absurd.
Makes sense.
It doesn't question what it sees, and it doesn't criticize what it sees, and it doesn't uh,
Do you
think
think it would be
differently.
quick enough to question?
It has to be quick enough. That's how intelligence comes in. When we criticize it brings to a important philosophical point. Like, to me, the mark of intelligence is if you can question what you have been taught, then you're truly intelligent.
That's
I mean,
wise.
to be honest, then most people are not intelligent because
Not yes.
the majority don't question most of the things that are being taught and they just accept it, or they
Yeah.
don't even want to think about it because in the end, it would cost energy to think about the decision or energy in the knowledge, and they just
Yeah.
accept it. So, I mean, that's the herd, right? The herd just goes with
Yeah.
everything. They don't question it. So, I mean, we've seen it in the past. Like history is the best teacher. It just
Yeah.
shows people just like going with the flow because they're like, nah, I mean,
He said it, so it must be right.
exactly.
Yeah.
The government
Yeah.
said it, it must be right.
I
Yeah.
mean, look
Fortunately,
at
we are.
the. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, basically, you saw that also with the max vaccination for COVID. That's like a great
Yeah.
example because the government said, yes, it should be done. It's better for everybody, even though there were not real
Yeah.
studies about it. So it's like a lot of these things where just like you accept it because it's basically somebody in power or at least with authority says it. And then
Mm.
the rest will just follow instead of questioning it. And those who are questioned tend to be either, well, luckily nowadays you have like more ways to distribute your opinion, so like social media
Yeah.
or podcasts, etc. But back in the day there was no option for them to actually like question it out loud.
Yeah. And even if you do question it, you're painted as a crazy one.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're
but
ostracized.
the thing is nowadays you have better ways to, for example, thanks to Elon Musk buying Twitter, now you like every opinion is there, right? You can
Yeah.
debate whether it should be restricted or not, but at least you can see always both sides, which is like a great part. So like people have always a way to say or explain themselves, and
Mm.
then the entire public can judge it whether it's correct or not.
Yeah.
Which I think is very important because otherwise you always have the narrative of whoever is winning and or
Yeah.
who has more money or power, and it's, I think, a very, very great one. I wonder in general how much of this is actually taken as training data for AI, because like it
All
would
the
see a
AIs would be
pattern,
very
right?
confused.
It would see a
I'm curious to hear also what, before we, I know we got distracted here, but what's your opinion on everyone having the ability to say whatever they want without
Yeah.
repercussions or, well, the freedom of speech end of the day? Because in recent years, especially in Canada or in other
England.
countries, in the UK as well, we have seen
Yeah.
that this is not true anymore. That whatever you can say, what you want to say,
Yeah.
there's real repercussions if you
Yeah.
don't follow the
th-
narrative.
For sure. There are two caveats to this. One is the data that is generated could be good for the AI because it gets an alternative viewpoint. The second viewpoint is that we humans tend to have diverse opinion on different things, and we might be crazy in some aspect of the area. Like we could be crazy when it comes to nationalism or religion, and we could be really, really sane, when it comes to AI or physics or something like that. So we could be right in different fields, we could be wrong at different fields, we could be crazy in different fields. That's the good thing about being humans, right? We're not universally uniform, no, talented in everything. So the question is like, what happens when we take this data and we train an AI on it? It has diverse opinion on all of it, but it has to learn to critique which is right and what is wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things I always see when often see when I ask something
Yeah,
ChatGPT and it's like, oh, this is a great idea, and I'm like, why are you not criticizing at all? I mean, can you
yeah,
even criticize it? You're doing a great job, and I'm like, please point out all the flaws. I don't need to hear like how great I am because if it's in real
yeah.
life doesn't work, this will not help me. I need you to be. That my question is though, did it learn this from human behavior? Because most humans rather say, "Oh, it's hard for them to criticize." Criticize friends, right? It's like for
Yeah.
example, when a kid does something great, you say, "Oh, good job," whatever. Oh, even though it was nothing great or it didn't do a good job. So I
Yeah.
wonder whether this is a training question. Like it basically learns so much on, oh, you should not be giving direct feedback, etc. Just a question I have for myself.
I think kids, even when they're young, can revolt against what we say, right?
Yeah.
If we tell them, like, this is not good for you, they'll say, I no, 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 this is good for me. If you don't want space, no, I want space. You don't want, screen time, no, I want screen time. So they revolt against it. This revolt is kind of a mark of an intelligence. And I think we all humans have it, which AI doesn't have. If you feed it something, it'll always take it as a gospel for training data. And because it has been fed so many times, it becomes the truth for it.
Makes sense.
We
All right.
have to
Let's
give the ability for a LLM or a AI model to question the training data that is given to it and assign a probability that it is right or wrong.
Are you doing that already with Hell Zero?
Yes. And that is, what we wanted to talk about. Sorry, you asked this question, a few minutes
All
ago, and I
good,
got
all good. No
right.
worries,
I
no
love it.
worries.
So when it comes to training the HAL Zero, there are two which I like Jan LeCun's model more, but it requires a huge amount
Hmm.
of investment. It requires a
Yeah.
physical wall model. We might go into this, once we have more bit of attraction and
Hmm.
we discover how we can do it with just text. We're
Hmm.
building out a kind of a proof of concept where, this AI model can take a text, can critique it, can, absorb that knowledge, can criticize it, can go against it. And then it has zero hallucination because we build it on top of the data. It's just not the weights. There is the weights, but underneath is the data. So it uses the weight to look at the data, pull it out, and then give the information. In some ways, it's like RAG, except this is on a latent space.
My question there, because I'm thinking about it, can this be used also as a new training method for the current LLMs, or would that actually go against it because all everything they have is basically in weights, right? Because for example, the critiquing the critiquing it would be super helpful. And why are they currently not doing it? Because I'm sure they're aware of this flaw.
Yep. We can't use LLM for it because that's how the transformer models are. Unless you put one more layer before it that kind of critiques it. But the LLM, the transformer model is not inherently made for kind of a critiquing. It's just a vector in, vector out. And again, it comes back to the point that we need to radically change that algorithm if we want to have some kind of a intelligence that can critique the input data. And also when it looks up the data, it needs to verify if that is right or wrong.
So you're not using transformers then? What are you using?
No, we're using a different kind of model. We're using reinforcement learning and
Hmm.
we're using a kind of a diffusion model to get the
Explain
data.
that to our listeners, please. What's the difference there, and how does that impact the outcome?
So diffusion model for text is where it has some kind of a rough data on what it wants to talk about. If, for example, if I ask you a question, something that you're interested to talk about, like philosophy, right? What do you think is the human philosophy of who is successful? You don't know the whole sentence, but you have rough idea on what is right and what is wrong. So you know a few topics. You know that observation, we are the observer. We are part of the one universe. You have some key concept. And based on that, you take that data and you build out your entire answer, right? The adjectives, the nouns, the pronouns, they're all, built out later after you have this knowledge. And that's what we're trying to build it up.
And diffusers are commonly used normally for image generation, right? They use the pixels and then it diffuses that way.
That's right. Yeah. So the way we do it with text is we get the important data first. We get what we need to talk about. We need to go the latent direction we need to talk about. But those are just abstract data. It cannot express itself. And then we express ourselves using diffusion. So we build the words, the pronouns, and everything around it.
So this is so okay. So the training data does obviously understand language then. So it
Yeah.
has something already baked into it that are, I don't know, language criterias for, I don't know, English, Spanish, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
or is it some form of an base model and then you retrain it? How does it work?
So it's a vector model. So what we have is a vector model of different text. And if it's different languages, they all combine to the same vector. So the advantage over LLM is an LLM trained on English does not have the same intelligence that is an LLM trained on German. Right? If
Oh
you
yeah.
ask the same question in German and if you ask the same question in English, you could get probably two different answers because it has two different knowledges.
Okay, and for the vector base, it is the same regardless of the language.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you think of, the lion is the king of the jungle, whether you express it in German or whether you express it in English, it's the same meaning.
Yeah.
But if an LLM has never been taught that the lion is the king of the jungle in German, I don't know what you guys, do it in German. Who is the king of the jungle? Let's assume in German is giraffe is the king of the jungle. Yeah. And then you ask it in German, like who is the king of the jungle? Then it will say giraffe. But if you ask it in English, say the king, lion is the king of the jungle. So two different,
That's
knowledge
wild. I didn't
models.
know this.
Yeah. It's
So
how
it's
it learns.
basically it's the best in English probably because most of the context is English trained on
How do you guys talk to ChatGPT? In
English.
German or in English?
Well, yes and no. So mostly English, but I also have German, but only German for German taxes because I want, for example, if I have to do for a German entity that we still have,
Yeah.
if I do anything related to it, because it already has everything there in German. But otherwise, it's English or Spanish text. Actually, if I do certain things in Spanish, but it's also like contextual, but mostly like 99% of the time, 95 is English because it's just like
Yeah.
that's how we like it's everything work related, just easier. And also
Yeah.
like most of my knowledge is acquired in English, not in German or
I
Spanish.
see.
So it's basically similar to an LLM, I guess. It's like mostly trained on English data.
Yeah. It's probably how you express yourself, but your knowledge is carried over to German. What you learned in English
Yeah.
is also carried over to German. But with LLMs, it's not. What is learned in one language is not carried over to the other language.
It does have a similarity though in the context of, I mean, people who speak multiple languages have noticed that they have different personalities in different languages. And I wonder if LLMs that's also not personality wise, they're different,
Yeah.
but just like because they're trained in different, the languages are the text that they're trained on is different.
Yeah.
They also
Yeah.
act different. The way they
I would say yes.
think, predict. Because
Yeah.
I don't know, you probably notice this as well. Like different language, different personality. The same guy, same girl.
I think it probably depends on, who your surrounding is. Because if you speak different language, you are with different people. So your personality changes. I don't think it's because I speak around 5 languages, I think 5 or 6, I don't even remember. Um,
Nice.
So I know inherently I'm same, but the person that I'm talking to, the surroundings change. So my personality changes. It's not because I'm speaking a different language, it's because the people around me are different.
So you're adjusting to it. And I notice also the expressions are different. The way I express, because the
Yeah.
way I learn, for example, in Spanish is more expression, like more expressive than other languages, than English, for example, that you change modes because the way you absorbed, and then you're obviously we see, monkey do, and
Yeah.
we, we
Definitely.
we reuse it.
Yeah.
So I actually I actually have. I just Google it. Why we behave differently, or at least we believe it's different, is as you
Yeah,
mentioned, we are put in a different cultural frame because we are seeing.
yeah, yeah,
So maybe Spanish might be warmer or more touchy, etc. Then
yeah,
also emotional distance. For example, your first language you learned when you're a child, so you have childhood memories. So it also impacts this. While as if you learn a different language later on, you're just like having different memories which are related only in that language. So that has so
yeah,
it's both. It's a mix of the environment, so the cultures of people. If you talk with people, for example, in Spanish, who are
yeah,
warmer, then you will also behave warmer because you're just like
yeah,
adjusting, right? You're adjusting to that culture, as well as the memory that I actually made in that language reinforce this, right? It's also reinforcement learning because in the end, when you only talk with people who are warmer or more touchy, etc., because of the culture, you will directly
yeah,
associate with the language and also behave in that way, which is reinforcing. But
yeah,
yeah,
for
interesting.
sure. Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting.
But it's funny how we pick on different languages, and how we switch personality. But underneath, the knowledge is still the same. If you learned it in English, you can carry it over into the other
Yeah,
languages.
that's the difference. I mean, that's why we are still the apex on this world.
Yeah,
We can transfer all this information. But coming back to Hell Zero, what's the go to market then? Because what you mentioned so far is a lot of learning that needs to be done
yeah.
and data modeling and all that stuff. So what's the go to market? And you said if it's going well later on, you can still expand with the more the Jan LeCun mod like word model style. So what's the go
Yeah.
to market? When do you know you can switch gears or do the next steps?
It's when we when we are bootstrapping, it's a completely different aspect from how, if you raise
Oh
$1 billion from
man.
Europe. So
Especially like think about it,
yeah,
bootstrapping, building a base model, basically.
yeah, it's a hard job, and the number one priority, whether we like it or not, is to make sure we can monetize this as soon as possible. So every step has to be monetized, and our customers paying for it. If they're not paying for it, it doesn't make sense. And I don't have the energy or the knowledge or the efficiency to go and then raise money for it. Uh, I don't even have the skills or the expertise for it. So I have the skills and expertise to to bootstrap it, to market it and to make money. So why not do it, and have fun along the way. So to answer the question directly, I think the first thing is we have AIhello, where we do a lot of we have our customers, we're growing well. We plan to use this zero hallucination within our startup that is successful.
Can you explain the user what AI Hello actually does? So, because we didn't talk about it at all yet,
Yeah.
and because I think it's a very, very cool product, and I'm sure our listeners will also love hearing about it.
So AIhello is an e-commerce advertising platform, and specifically targeted towards Amazon. We do a lot of bid optimization. We do a lot of keyword research. There's day parting. So there are multiple modules inside it where we automate it using our own AI model. They are not LLM. They are the old style, neural networks, reinforcement learning, standard regression, statistics, and those kind of AI models. We have we have been growing, around 20% year on year.
Nice,
Is
nice.
bootstrap is profitable. We are around 36 employees right now.
Oh wow.
Most of my time goes into AIhello. And we have a software based as well. People can just sign up, set up the platform and do automation. And we also have, guided where we have specialists that help them out. This is, in progress. This has been set in motion. Doesn't require much of my input. I have senior people handling it. So this gives me go to the next stage, which is the AI and the, email and whatever meeting we have, it collects all of it. And then with zero hallucination, it can give you context for each email. So Hal Zero is going to take over the email, is going to take over the meeting notes, is going to take over what you chat about, and it's going to bring the whole context into it. And you can go and ask it question like, hey, I spoke to Mark. What do I talk about next? Then it can sit on top of the data and can give you a complete overview.
How do you ensure? I mean, this sounds magical. I love that already because that
Yeah,
will make everything so much faster, and they can just give me a TLDR afterwards. So it would be fucking
yeah.
amazing. But how do you ensure that first of all, my privacy is private, and the second of all, that this is in general safe, that no one else can hack it?
Yeah. So we built it on Mail Zero. So we took a existing mail application that is really secure, and we loaded it on our server. I think the big aspect is that when you use other note taker tools, they invariably call up, ChatGPT, they call up invariably Gemini, they make API calls, summarize it. We have our own internal model loaded on our GPU, so your data never leaves us. Uh, Once we release it, we're just using it internally. Once we release it, we'll be writing on the privacy laws for it, because we don't depend on ads. We depend on you paying money for the subscription. Make sure the data is just yours, no one else.
Awesome. Do you already know the plan pricing tiers?
We have a rough idea. We're going to release it to some users, and we're going to see if there's a
Nice.
pushback on the cost of it, and then
I
go
would
from
love to try it. Whenever you're ready, please let us know.
Also, another
Okay.
question regarding this is regarding the emails. Would it be possible then, for example, if everybody has a G Suite, for example, would you be able
Yeah.
to integrate that, or would you need to create new accounts, new email accounts, which would make it harder?
We right now integrate just with Google, so everything is
Oh,
logged with
perfect. G
Google.
Suite, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So it makes it easier, right? It's you don't have to create new email for it. You just click login by Google and you connect your calendar. Everything is handled. 30 seconds.
And
Awesome.
is it all through the website, or do you guys have an app? Is it also on the phone? Is it a mobile app as well, or?
It is just on a website right now.
Mhm.
We don't have plans to make a mobile app. I think once I get 10 users, then I might have the second plan. The first is to get 10 paying users and then go for the next step. And then, 50 users and then go for the next step. Everything is, as I said, bootstrap. Everything is how many people are paying for it.
To be honest, that's, I think, one of the most important parts, especially if you're going now towards more, I guess, not an economy boom, but more like a
Yeah,
recession. That's so important to think about bootstrapping, getting money for some clients, because like there's
yeah,
always, when there's a lot of cash out there and a lot of investment, startups just like blow through money. But then when it's going down again, a normal
yeah,
cycle, right? Economy, then people are, okay, profitability first. And I really believe you should from day one think about not building something like a something where you need a lot of investment, right? And you have a longer
yeah,
time horizon. Otherwise, I would like bootstrapping works.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Default alive. You're making money. You're
yeah.
going.
I have a
And take
tactical
a stab at
question.
Halzero in the meantime. Yeah, sorry.
Hell
Go ahead.
yeah.
No, I would agree. Um, okay, you already have bootstrapped Halzero and AIhello. The question is for me, they already have a big head. Well, like I think it's a big head count, 30 something employees.
Especially with AI, because now that with AI, with with this amount of employees, you can have a lot of revenue. Because like
Yeah.
with AI, if they're really like supporting
So
and using
my
it,
my question is, how do you see strategically a go-to-market strategy in terms of what are the channels that you focus on? Because I think that everyone has their own expertise, and what do you bank on? Are you also still? How do you feel about influencer marketing? How what are these takes?
or it's
So
just B2B.
like in general, like how do you see the whole function, the stack right now, especially for your different kind of products? I guess the email is directly to consumers
Yeah.
versus AIhello is to businesses. How do you see that from the B2B and the direct consumer? What's your stack?
Right. So as I mentioned, raising money and bootstrap is completely different. And in the same way, B2B is completely different from B2C. So AIhello is B2B, the email thing would be B2C. Radically different approach. Influencer marketing is really exciting. I never managed to get it working though, but I'm confident. It does work. I haven't managed to make it work. In the meantime, running ads, marketing, social media marketing is the one that it works. But for B2C, what I do is I go to LinkedIn and I reach out to people. I say, hey, I'm testing out a free tool. I'm giving it away for free just for the first 10 users. After that, I'll charge. Would you be willing to test it out? Get the feedback from them, improve on it, and then go to the next 10 users. I'm giving away at 90% discount. Would you want to test it out? Then 80% discount. That's 70%. It's one way. Just reach out to your contacts.
That is so cool. I never thought about this. Always like giving a 9% discount, 10% going
Yeah.
down. I really liked
Yeah.
it. Never thought about this.
So it's the classical do things that don't scale. It's manual reach out at the
Yes. Yeah.
beginning.
That's the bit. Yeah. Oh, you get the feedback, right? If it is working or not working.
Yeah, that's true. Like because we're with our new project also we are I mean we're bootstrapped as well. So we
Yeah,
did reach out to our contacts, try it out, and we're also running some ads right
I
now.
mean, we're doing also things that not scale. Like literally, our plans are like starting at 150, 250, and 450 euros per month. And for
yeah,
example, for a 250 plan, I just worked with a lady for, I was on a call with her for over 7 hours. So it's like, think about it, for a 250 plan, which is, should be all they can serve themselves, but
yeah,
like the onboarding, but it's a lot of feedback. I think these are things that I don't scale, but in the end you learn so much doing the phone call, what is not working or what can be improved, because you need to shut yourself up to like try see them fail like in the process, because you are so an expert of your own product because you have used it so much, so you know
yeah,
all the kinks and just know how to ignore them. When you see somebody else struggle for the first time, you learn so much about it. So it's at the beginning, it is worth doing
yeah,
things that don't scale.
yeah, yeah. It's the only way to do it. Actually, you can't just put out ads, and then forget about it. You don't get the feedback.
Yeah. I agree.
Honestly.
That's I think super important. I think this is nowadays because everything is so easy. Just generating ads or just putting something out there. It's like, hey, check this out, and then you get feedback or don't get feedback. It's just like overwhelming. It's like if you go on tech Twitter, you see so many releases and there's like no one trying it out, or it's
Yeah,
overwhelming. Or what is it? What's the other one called? The launching one? Uh,
What product
the
hunt?
product hunt,
Product Hunt.
product hunt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, there's a whole new. Have you ever tried it?
Yes, I used to be on product hunt. We did try to launch it in product hunt. It didn't work out. I think it depends on who launches it for you.
Yeah, I mean, we also tried it back in the day, like when we started our first
Yeah,
gaming startup. Man,
yeah,
we just failed at
Well, we
launching
didn't
it
know the
successful.
strategy either. Like it's like a whole strategy. You have like specific hunters. You need to have the right
yeah,
hunters for you, and then you need to incentivize them. Probably, it's a very complex game. I mean, for our last business, we, for example, we ran only on affiliates. We just had
yeah,
affiliates that did it for us, and it was great. That was a
yeah,
good thing. But otherwise, it's just you got to find something that works for you and then go with it.
yeah,
But like you just said, you got to reach out and just like I mean, I noticed myself as well. I'm getting lazy, man. The reaching out, I'm like, I don't want to do it. But you're right. It's the best thing to do. Reach out to your network first.
yeah. Initial stages, at least. After that, you don't mind.
100%,
Yes.
because later you need to automate it. You need to find ways how you can scale it. Because at the beginning,
Yeah,
like once you have the kinks out, the product is good. I mean, that's also one of the differences between a simple product, right? Like for example, super thing, you have a you sell candy, okay? You sell candy. You don't Once you have the flavor out, you don't need the customer feedback anymore. Like you can just run ads and they buy it, and if they like it, they will purchase it after you have some. While as you have a product like a system, like a software product, which is more complex, it takes way more time to get it right. Like
yeah,
like so many moving parts, and I think that's like makes a huge difference.
yeah. For sure. It's easy to create software now. It's harder to market it. Earlier, it was easier to market and hard to
Yeah.
create. So it flipped over.
We've been saying for the last, I guess, probably almost 2 years now that distribution is king nowadays. Because,
Yeah,
yes, creation is so simple. Everybody can just have a prompt, create an entire website. But the thing is, the distribution just is
yeah,
so important. That's why
yeah,
nowadays you see more and more influencer who become part owners of startups, maybe tech startups or product, because they have the distribution and
yeah,
they can, for example, MKBHD, he's like a huge YouTuber on tech. I think he has like 15 million subscribers, and he became part owner of Rich Wallets. Like,
yeah,
so which is like crazy to see that so late they already made like hundreds of millions of dollars, but it's so late they still got him on board because of the distribution, because it makes sense for him to have him there because his people who watch it have so much buying power and they can directly promote their products there.
yeah. That's something I need to learn as well.
Same. I mean, that's the thing. That's something, but it's good to know. That's why I also like talking to different people, so other entrepreneurs like yourself, because you're seeing different angles, and it
Yeah,
opens you up to explore in that direction, which I really, really like. Because the thing is, right now, it being a generalist can be quite helpful because thanks to AI, you can be better in that certain point as long as you know it exists.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's all about, reaching out and distribution and marketing.
100%. Do you think now that we are in, I mean, it was already the last decade, the era of social media, and that this is even becoming more and more important because it's one of the biggest distribution factor right now in terms of ads? Do you think it's going to scale further?
You know what I've interestingly seen? That a lot of the social media is now become a SEO graveyard with LLM taking over. If you go to Twitter and I click on an interesting topic, almost all the replies I can smell it out that is a ChatGPT response. It's
Oh, wow.
so
Uh,
counterintuitively, I think the future is going to be a social media where there's only humans allowed and no robots allowed. Uh, that if someone builds it out and it can prove it's just human, it's probably going
which
to be a
is
big
very
thing.
hard, which is like
Yeah,
very hard to prove. That's one of the things, especially with automation, which
yeah,
I'm also the,
Yeah.
it's
Very
interesting. I agree. I mean, that's also what Trump, Elon Musk said, right? When he went like took over Twitter, it was like, there's so many freaking bots on here. What's going on? Get rid of the bots.
yeah.
It's one of the things. It's a big problem for sure. And yeah,
One way to
it's
resolve this would be you can only send 160 characters, but you can only send one tweet a day. So think about it. Send one tweet or one reply.
but then they create multiple accounts, right? So they have like a million accounts that only tweet once per day, which makes it, and
Yeah,
also at the same time, it's interesting for me to see where this all is going. But
yeah,
in general, especially with now glasses bringing basically like smart glasses, so basically you will have your screen directly always in front of your eyes, and what that also means how content is being consumed.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
makes it completely different. Is audio the next thing? Who knows? That's something that's for me very, very interesting to see.
yeah. It's video probably and 24/7
Yeah.
video with smart glasses in
Yeah.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it's going
crazy.
to be a new interface. It's crazy. But at the end of the day, smart
Yeah.
glasses is the same as a phone, just a different spot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's
For sure.
nothing
Yeah.
and nothing crazy new. That's also why I didn't or don't understand the complete hype about the VR glasses, AR glasses. It's just like it's the same. It's just the phone is already so fucking cool and optimized for so many things that
Yeah.
it's, but future you won't even have to take it in your hands. It's just like honestly 5 to 10 years, but it's dangerous because
Yeah.
then you can't even put it away.
Oh no, 100%. Like that's the thing. But that's the thing. That's why you see these social media giants building these, because in the end you want to spend more time on the platform. And that's also why
Yeah.
you don't want to be late on it. You saw Snapchat, one of the first one building smart glasses, Google
Yeah.
glasses, all of these failed. Now Meta gets it, well, got it partially right with the Ray-Ban, with just recording. Now they're
Yeah.
bringing out the new glasses, which have a small display integrated. So it's like
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how it goes, because like everybody, it's basically back in the day when the smartphone was coming out and you were still using desktop. Like
Yeah.
back in the day, desktop, yes, but then you had to go to mobile. Facebook did the right job, optimize, like stop developing new features and went full head on mobile development, because mobile was the future. And thanks to that, they grew even faster. The next might be the next case once the glasses are mass adopted, that we're seeing also a big push towards these glasses, because it's just easier to take videos, video calls. You can have your hands free. While still the person seeing you, right? Because you've seen these
Yeah.
things where the other person actually still sees your face, which is just an animated version of yourself, a talking avatar, because you scanned it once and now it just like you see it on the other side, which is also like an interesting thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you tried VR?
VR only, I think I put the glasses on, but like not too much, to be honest. Like,
Okay. VR is something that blew my mind actually. Meta
yeah.
Quest 3. Yeah. It is
uh,
seriously
I
cool.
mean, we played two or three times VR shooters. Like literally, you because
Yeah.
in Germany there are basically you go there with 5 people, and then you
Yeah.
have like Star Trek we think we played last time, and before we played a different game,
It is cool. It
which
is
was
very
cool because you're in a room and there are like
Yeah.
limitations, which makes it very cool. But still, some of these games were
laggy.
but it was still mind blowing, especially like sometimes, especially when your eyes perceive that you're moving, then you're also like feeling shaky,
Yeah.
which is like for me is like very it's like interesting. It's like your body is 2 feet on the ground. You should not have any problems with like
Yeah, it's crazy how much we rely on our eyesight.
Yeah.
That's what's the scary part is. You're just like you
Yeah.
get if you close your eyes, you're like, oh, all of a sudden you're like, okay, all right. But how we perceive it through these reality glasses, you think you're somewhere else, and something really is like flying towards you, and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
It's wild. It is crazy, even though the
Yeah.
graphics are not that great.
no, not yet. But I mean, it's, that's why I would also believe where AI will be very, very helpful, especially when building these worlds, right? Because you can basically let them build it for you. If you have like, let them create all these stuff, and then it's easy because otherwise it takes forever, man.
Yeah.
Building all of these. All right. I think we got a little bit off topic, which I also really, really
Yeah.
like. But
Yeah.
Ganesh, do you still have something that you want to talk to us about HalZero and AIhello before we wrap this up?
I think HAL0 is very interesting. I'm very, very interested to move into that aspect. Primarily because, I would like to model it on how human intelligence came through. And if we can, model the human intelligence and make it as smart as human, that's all we need, right? As smart as human. And then we can try to think of making something smarter than human. It's a philosophical question, is there is a limit to the intelligence when we do the visual model? That the question you asked. It's a very philosophical question, but I'm hoping I manage to, set up some kind of infrastructure so we can build upon that and have some kind of a ASI in the future.
I'm sure you will do great. Especially, I like the concept that you already have a cash cow or like a startup that actually is working, and then you can pour the money of this into the new one, which makes it then like basically you can use the technology that you're learning there to optimize the other one again, which is very, really cool.
Yeah.
Ganesh, where can people find you?
You can find me on ganesh@hello.com. That is my primary email. And I'll respond immediately with a message.
Perfect. Any Twitter or anything else that you want the users to know about?
The Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, all AIhello.
Mhm.
You just find AIhello over there. You can message over there. It's usually handled by our social media team. But if you send a message to my email, I'm the only one handling that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ganesh. It was a
Ganesh,
pleasure.
it was a pleasure talking to you. So yeah, I really, I'm excited to see where this is going, especially seeing in like 6 months or even 8 months where all these leads.